Welcome to all. Myself, Dr. T.Santhi, Assistant Professor, PG under Research Department of History, Velladar College for Women, Autonomous, Erode. Now, let's see the topic Foreign Policy of Jawaharlal Nehru. Introduction. The foundations of India's foreign policy were firmly laid by Jawaharlal Nehru. Nehru underlined India's national interest as the basic guiding principle. Nehru, as head of the interim government, had declared as on September 7, 1946, principal objectives of India's foreign policy. The founder of India's foreign policy, Nehru, gave utmost importance to world peace in his policy planning. India desired peaceful and friendly relations with all countries, particularly the big powers and the neighboring nations. While signing a peace agreement with China, he advocated adherence to five guiding principles known as Panchasheel. Determinants of India's foreign policy. The foreign policy of India or any country is shaped by two factors, domestic and international. Domestically, India's history, culture, geography, and economy have played an important role in determining the objectives and principles of India's foreign policy. The international factor characterized by Cold War, rivalry between NATO and the Warsaw Pact, the establishment of United Nations arms race, particularly nuclear arms race, anti-colonialism and anti-imperialism, etc., have also influenced the priorities and objectives of our foreign policy. The first Indian Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru, gave due consideration to these factors and played a leading role in shaping the country's foreign policy. Five goals of foreign policy. The main goals of India's foreign policies are maintaining national security, supporting democracy, promoting world peace, providing aid, establishing open trade. Objectives of foreign policy. First, national security, ensuring the safety and security of the country and its citizens is a major goal of foreign policy. Economic development. Many countries seek to promote economic growth and development through their foreign policy. Third one, political stability. Foreign policy can be used to promote political stability both within a country and abroad. Fourth, protecting national interest. Countries often seek to protect their own interest through their foreign policy. Fifth one, influencing international relations. Foreign policy can be used to shape of the international relations and shape the global order. Panchasheel. Panchasheel was signed on 28th April 1954 and since then it has become a guiding principle of India bilateral relations with the countries also. Panchasheel includes the following five principles of foreign policy. Panchasheel or the five principles of peaceful coexistence were first formally enunciated in the agreement on trade and intercourse between the Tibet region of China and India signed on April 29, 1954, which stated in its preamble that the two governments have resolved to enter into present agreement based on the following principles. First, mutual respect for each other's territorial integrity and sovereignty. Second, mutual non-aggression. Third, mutual non-interference. Fourth, equality and mutual benefit. Fifth, peaceful coexistence. Policy of non-alignment and Nehru. Non-alignment is the most important features of India's foreign policy. India's first Prime Minister, builder of modern India and initiator of the policy of non-alignment, which has since found universal acceptance. Non-alignment was not a negative policy of being neutral in great power disputes or staying equidistant from the two power nations. The emerging Cold War between the USA and the Soviet Union, which intensified in the 1950s, the period which also saw the emergence of new Asian and African and nations free from the colonial yoke, provided the ground for the adoption of the policy of non-alignment, which was specially suited to the requirements of the newly independent Asian and African country. Jawaharlal Nehru, the policy of non-alignment was an indigenous product emanating from India's long struggle for freedom. So were probably the compulsions of the leaders of the Asian, African and Latin American countries who were able to assert their national identities mainly by adapting the policy of non-alignment. Leaders of the non-aligned nations. Name of the leaders in non-aligned nations. The non-aligned movement was founded and held its first conference in 1961 at Belgrade under the leadership of Tito of Yugoslavia, Nasser of Egypt, Jawaharlal Nehru of India, Nkrumah of Ghana, and Sukarno of Indonesia. Peaceful settlement of international disputes and Nehru. One of the core elements of India's foreign policy is its unflinching faith in the political solution and peaceful settlement of international disputes. This principle has been included in the Constitution of India under the Directive Principles of State Policy as well as the Charter of the UN. India has played a leading role in the resolution of Korean conflict and supported negotiated settlement of Palestine issue, Kashmir problem, border problems with neighboring countries and other such disputes and problems. India is always against foreign military intervention for resolving international problems. This principle continues to be the cornerstone of India's policy. Support to UN international law and a just and equal world order and Nehru. India has deep respect for the international law and the principles of sovereign equality of nations and non-interference in the internal affairs. India proposed a very ambitious program of nuclear disarmament before the UN. Though this proposal was not accepted by the other members of the UN, India stands committed to the cause of universal disarmament even today. India has played a key role in preserving world peace by helping in the decolonization process and through active participation in UN peacekeeping activities. India has proposed and supported the reform of Security Council and other UN agencies. India is one of the permanent membership of the Security Council. Conclusion. Jawaharlal Nehru was the architecture of modern India after its independence in 1947. Apart from handling the domestic situation, Nehru's major contribution lies in the area of external relations as he kept foreign affairs under his strict control over 17 years and made all the major foreign policy decisions himself, nearly getting consultation from his advisors and aides. Nehru was a man of great vision. He promotes peace throughout the world. Thank you.